You pause before answering that question. You replay the conversation in your head afterwards. You notice the inconsistency in what they said, but decided not to point it out. If this sounds familiar, here's what might be going on. You don't have a problem. You have a highly analytical mind, and the habits that other people find strange or difficult or even rude, they're not personality flaws. They're evidence of a brain that processes information differently than most. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 7 specific habits of women with highly analytical minds, why psychology says each one exists, because being honest about the downsides matters, where these traits can genuinely get in your way. Let's start with the one that gets you misjudged the most. The first sign is that you take long pauses before you answer. Someone asks a simple question. What do you want to eat? What did you think of the event? And instead of responding right away, you pause. Sometimes long enough that the other person leans in, or repeats themselves, or just looks confused. People read this as hesitation, uncertainty. Sometimes they even assume you're a little slow. But psychologists sometimes describe something called depth of processing. Instead of just retrieving an answer, analytical minds often tend to evaluate options, weigh implications, construct a response before speaking. For most people, the question, "What did you think of the event?" triggers a quick reaction. Liked it, didn't, fine. But for the analytical mind, it triggers a cascade. Which part? Compared to what? What standard are we using? You're not slow, you're thorough, the shadow side. Not every question needs a 5-second pause. Sometimes fine really is enough. Learning when to go deep and when to give the quick answer is something most analytical women have to develop deliberately. The second sign is that you talk to yourself out loud. This one sounds like the setup for a joke about losing your mind, but psychology suggests something very different is going on. One possible explanation is that speaking your thoughts out loud engages additional cognitive pathways. You're not just thinking about a problem, you're hearing it, processing it through multiple channels at the same time. This is why analytical women often catch themselves muttering while working through something complex. Your brain is using every tool available to solve the problem. The shadow side? It can make other people uncomfortable. Open offices, shared spaces, coffee shops, talking to yourself draws attention you might not want. But the women who make peace with this habit either learn to do it quietly or they find environments where their brain can work the way it works best. The third sign is that small talk bores you almost immediately. Networking events, hair salons, casual gatherings where the conversation never leaves the surface. For many people, small talk is harmless, light, easy, but people with high need for cognition, that's the actual term psychologists use for a drive toward deep thinking, often describe surface level conversation as genuinely draining. Your brain scans for depth, for meaning, for something to engage with. When it finds nothing, it checks out. This isn't arrogance. You're not looking down on anyone. Your brain simply processes social interaction through a different filter. Here's the cost. Most relationships start with small talk. If you refuse to engage at the surface, you may never reach the deeper conversations you actually want. Learning to tolerate a few minutes of weather talk to build the bridge is something many analytical women practice intentionally. The fourth sign is that you notice what other people miss. A friend tells you a story and a detail doesn't add up. You're reading something and you catch a logical contradiction by the 3rd paragraph. You watch a movie and spot the continuity error everyone else in the room overlooked. Your brain doesn't just receive information, it organizes it, compares it, checks it against everything else you already know. Some people seem naturally more attuned to inconsistencies. Their minds treat incoming information like a puzzle, always testing whether each piece fits. This makes analytical women exceptionally good problem solvers. You see the flaw in the plan, the weak link in the argument, the variable everyone forgot to account for. When you notice inconsistency everywhere, it's in what people say and what they do and how things are run, it gets exhausting. Sometimes, not seeing everything is a kind of peace that analytical women simply don't get. The 5th sign is that you question rules that other people accept without thinking. Ever since you were young, you've been the one asking, but why? Not to rebel, not to be difficult, but because that's just how we do things, never felt like a real answer. Here's what's interesting. Research suggests that people who score higher on measures of analytical reasoning are often more willing to question established assumptions rather than accepting them automatically. They don't absorb information passively. They engage with it, test it, ask whether it holds up. This doesn't mean every rule should be broken. Some exist for excellent reasons, but the analytical mind refuses to follow rules just because they're rules. The shadow side is real. Questioning everything can exhaust the people around you. It can slow down decisions that need speed. Knowing when to question and when to move forward is a wisdom most analytical women develop over years, not weeks. The sixth sign is that you need uninterrupted time to think. This isn't about being introverted or antisocial. It's about how analytical reasoning actually works. Complex thinking requires continuity. You build a mental model, hold multiple pieces in your head at once, follow a chain of logic through several steps. When you get interrupted, a notification, a question, a sudden request, the whole structure collapses. And rebuilding it takes real time. This is why analytical women often protect their quiet hours fiercely. It's not that they dislike people. It's that they understand what their mind needs to function at full capacity. The shadow side, society expects women to be available, responsive, interruptible. When you protect your thinking time, people call you cold or distant. The seventh sign is that you replay conversations after they're over. You leave a dinner, a meeting, a catch up with a friend, and then it starts. Your brain replays the whole thing. What you said, what they said, what you should have said, what they probably meant by that one comment, whether your tone came across right in that one moment. For analytical minds, conversations don't end when people stop talking. Every interaction becomes data, something to review, analyze, extract lessons from. The cost is genuine. You rarely get to just enjoy a moment and move on. Every social encounter comes with homework afterwards. And sometimes the replay is harsher than the original experience ever was because your analytical brain finds problems that weren't actually there. Let me be straightforward with you for a moment. Having an analytical mind is genuinely a gift, but I don't want to pretend there aren't costs. Overthinking can tip into paralysis. Pattern recognition can drift into cynicism. When you constantly notice what's inconsistent, what doesn't add up, what could have been done better, it gets harder to enjoy things simply. And solitude, when it stops being restorative and starts being avoidance, moves from a strength to a hiding place. The women who thrive with analytical minds are not the ones who suppress how they think. They're the ones who learn when to engage their depth and when to let it rest. Not every conversation needs to be audited. Not every inconsistency needs to be pointed out. Not every question needs to be answered at full analytical depth. The goal isn't to think less. It's to choose when to think deeply and when to just be. Now, I want to leave you with something specific. If you saw yourself in these signs, here is what I need you to hear. You are not too much. You are not difficult. You are not broken. You are a woman with a mind that refuses to be passive. That engages, that questions, that processes things deeply. And yes, that comes with real challenges, but it also comes with something rare, because women who think differently ask the second question when everyone else accepts the first answer. They test the easy explanation. They bring depth to a world that often rewards staying shallow. And that isn't something wrong with you. That's a kind of clarity most people never develop. If this video resonated, tap like. It helps more women find this message. And subscribe to Glow and Grow for more psychology-backed insights on confidence, charisma, and becoming the most magnetic version of yourself.